This segment of the Chopin podcast is brought to you by the Chopin Foundation of the United States, presenters of the National Chopin Competition in Miami, Florida, January 2025. There are more recordings of Chopin's Nocturnes than there are stars in the sky on a dark night. With this in mind, I've asked piano astronomer Jed Distler to search for some of the brightest recordings made of the Chopin Nocturnes over the past century to share with us for our stargazing pleasure. Jed has listened to untold thousands of piano recordings in his life and written about many of them for Gramophone magazine and ClassicsToday.com. He is the host of WWFM's weekly radio show Between the Keys, and in 2021, he was the official gramophone blogger of the International Chopin Competition in Warsaw. At the end of each episode of the Chopin podcast, Jed will share his thoughts on an exceptional recorded cycle of the given genre, as well as a memorable recording of an individual piece within that genre. Here are his picks for Chopin's Nocturnes.
There are so many excellent versions of the complete Chopin Nocturnes in the catalog that choosing just one was not an easy task. And after thinking and mulling this over for some time, I decided that I would pick the late, great Nelson Freire and his recording from 2010 of the Chopin Nocturnes for the Decca label. And I think that these performances are characterized by intimacy and lyricism and very subtle textual diversity. And the pianist's approach, I think, has mellowed since he first recorded some of the Nocturnes in the early 1970s. In these later recordings, there are so many illuminating details. For instance, in the F-sharp Nocturne, Opus 15, number 2, he slows down in certain parts, which is kind of unorthodox, but he justifies it by a very strong left-hand underpinning. And even the rapid passage work in Opus 27, number 2, which a lot of pianists just kind of fluff off, he really plays it with such poetry and specificity in the articulation. And if you listen to Opus 15, number 3, the phrases just soar in long, melodic sentences that just go over the bar lines. Also, he has a very animated treatment of the Opus 62, number 1 in B major, but it still allows room for him to underline a lot of the music's harmonic surprises, and also those long trills just materialize with such control and evenness, and most important, beauty. For an individual recording of a Chopin Nocturne, I think that every pianophile in the world agrees that probably the most beautiful and three-dimensional and perfectly proportioned recording of a Chopin Nocturne is the Nocturne in E-flat, Opus 55, number 2 by Ignaz Friedman. This is a 1936 recording. And It's an amazing recording because when you listen to the two contrapuntal lines in duet, they almost sound like they're coming from two different pianos in two different rooms, but it's all from one person. And what I find fascinating about this performance is that it sounds very naturally paced and very straightforward in its ebb and flow. But if you listen to it over and over again, you start realizing that not one bar is in the exact same tempo, yet he makes it sound as such. And that just comes from this kind of experience and mastery that you only get from a pianist of Ignaz Friedman's stature.